It is true, for example, that the cost of fuel has gone down, and that is something that will have a ripple effect on the cost of living going forward, and we hope things are going to improve. That is number one. Number two, you can clearly see that we are having less and less cost to the dollar. It has moved from the 160s to the 150s, and we hope it can keep on going down. And that, I think, is very, very important. Number three, you can see even the cost of basic commodities, such as unga. It has gone down to as low as 130. And the cost of electricity also has come down to a certain extent. That is very important, but that reprieve is passed down to the consumer. That is the Kenyan hustler. So that is very, very important. And of course, you can see the importance of having the G2G arrangement, because you can see even our neighbors are having a shortage of dollars and fuel crunch. So we really thank, the foresight of the president, and we thank God for that. That then at least there is no such kind of shortage, going forward. So some of these things may be controversial, but you can see they are very well thought out. This is our 37th press release and also the 19th press briefing. So we are doing quite well and will improve as we go by. So members of the fourth estate, allow me now to go straight into reading what has been prepared from government in terms of this 19th briefing. And also just to tell you before I go into this that we are going to have a cabinet retreat on the 19th and 20th of this month, and so therefore most of the work that we've been doing with the road shows and all of that will work in a very good way going forward in terms of now having concrete decisions by government, in terms of really doing the work that is required. So this is a statement by the government spokesperson today, being 15th of February, and let me also take this opportunity to say Happy Valentine. Our prayers, when we sing our national anthem, aspire for justice, peace, freedom, and prosperity. This remains a covenant that binds the government to socio-political inclusion and economic empowerment of Kenyans. The abiding covenant has put the government on its toes, and true to its commitment through the bottom-up transformation agenda, the Kenya Kwanza administration has not disappointed its electorate and commits to do even better as time goes by. Top of the government's agenda is the betterment of the Kenyan welfare in all aspects of life by meeting its promises and remaining a listening government in its response to people's needs. Last week we addressed the issue of passports. We need to clarify further that Kenyans have complained of delayed issuance of passports, and I wish to confirm that the problem is being addressed. The problem has persisted because of delayed supply of 34-page passport booklets, which normally goes for 4,550 Kenya shillings. This shortage has been caused by slow delivery of the booklets by the supplier. The documents are usually printed outside the country for security reasons, leaving only applicants' biodata to be printed locally upon application. A consignment of the booklets is on the way and will land in the country soon, and the problem will be a thing of the past. We believe so. In the meantime, as I had said earlier, those with urgent need for a passport are advised to apply for the 50-page passports, which this applies in plenty. And of course, remember, we said very clearly there are 70,000 uncollected passports last week. So that should have, of course, reduced, because if people heeded what we said, we keep on insisting they should go and pick those passports. Now, on the issue of ID issuance, the government is also aware of the problem of acquiring identity cards by eligible youth, which has been caused by a court order suspending the production of the third-generation identity cards. An appeal has been made on the case. As we speak, 600,000 applicants for the cards are pending at the civil registration offices countrywide, even as another 684,000 IDs lie uncollected by the applicants across the country. So 600,000 new applicants, another 684,000 not yet collected. So you can see there is a balancing out, and please, people should collect this. As government spokesman, I affirm that once the appeal is granted, the government will embark on massive production of the vital identification documents with the aim of declaring the backlog within the shortest time possible. The government appeals to those yet to collect their documents to do so in order to avoid inconveniences in the official issuance of this very important document. And also, I think to clarify that this is a problem that is also, government is not happy about, because like those students who are supposed to get HELB loans and they have not yet gotten their IDs, then it becomes a difficult issue. It is interfering with a lot of public service delivery efforts, and so therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we really would want this matter to be fully resolved, as quickly as possible. And these are some of the things that we are talking about in terms of the courts not being able to work out their things in good time. Now, there is the issue of livestock and pastoralists, very important, because there have been concerns from the ground about what is it, and we've gotten these concerns from places like Kajiado, what is the program actually to buy this livestock by government? How do you facilitate livestock agriculture? So on one hand, the government is keenly following up on the de-risking, inclusion and value enhancement of pastoral's economic project, which is aimed at uplifting farmers' welfare in 21 ASEAN countries by cushioning the economies from drought risk, increasing financial inclusion for the pastoralists, and connecting them to the market. The benefiting counties include Turkana, Marsabit, Isiolo, Laikipia, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Tana River, Taita Taveta, Kilifi, Kwale, Lamu, Meru, Tharaka-Nithi, Samburu, Baringo, West Pokot, Narok, Kajiado, Makueni, and Kitui. So you can see there are quite a number of counties that are benefiting here. The project, which was effected in October 2022 and runs through to 2027, also seeks to facilitate livestock trade across the Horn of Africa countries, and to upgrade livestock value chains by mobilizing private investments. It has financial support for the World Bank, with Kenya being supported by a credit of Kenya shillings US dollars 140 million, which is about 16.082 billion, going by in chain, which we are working on as government on the priority 9 value chains. Then that becomes very important. And it's also good to say there's actually some new funding also, from our development partners that is also going to help, I beg your pardon, 29 value chains that was just approved yesterday by cabinet. So you can see there's a lot of investment in agriculture, and you'll hear a lot of that when we come to brief you, because it is an economic mainstay. Directly 25%, another 26% indirectly, over 50% of our economy is on agriculture. And that is why it is one of the key pillars in the better plan that we are trying to make sure that it finds resonance and residence within the mosaic of our fabric. So far, this project of 16.8 billion, 16.082 billion, also will help the number of pastoralists and their dependents through financial services, and we anticipate that about 696,642 Kenyan pastoralists will be able to benefit. That is pastoralists and their communities, and a total of 1,620,293,803 has been paid out as insurance claims payout to the benefit. So please, if you have your goat there, if you have your camel, if you have your cow, there is an insurance. There is an insurance, and you can actually be paid. Over 1.6 billion has been paid out. So please, wakulima wa mifugo tuwe chonjo hapo. Project has also seen 107,492 individual pastoralists and 411,123 of their tropical livestock insured. So you can see it's both, particularly the tropical stock, 411,123 that is owned by 107,492 individuals. So insure your livestock. Insure your wealth, because this is traditional, and now we are formalizing it into the economy. Because when you have an insurance product, that means then it is actually livestock. It is actually going concern, and that is really germane and fundamental, because we have the biggest herd of cattle in the whole of Africa. Really, people may not know that. An amount of Kenya shilling 6,000 per beneficiary has been paid as enrollment saving bonus, bringing the total bonus payout to 492,090,000. So there's a bonus also that comes into that. a coupon of 6,000, which is very, very good. The project has also sought to empower the female gender, as the percentage of women supported and who own bank accounts has increased from a baseline of 33% to 108% within the pastoralist communities. So only 33% of women were having bank accounts. Now, that number, the initial number, has grown by 108%. That is really, really commendable. You can see the empowerment there. It has also created a number of jobs, as proven by 163,578 digital accounts. Digital, this is the idea here. So we are also going digital, it's online marketing. In use under this project and the inclusion of 26 formal financial sector companies to provide services to the pastoralists. Can you see how important this is happening? So there are now digital accounts so that you can even have it on an M-Pesa, M-Shwari, or whatever other product, but also 26 financial sector companies like banks and other microfinances have already been providing services to this sector. Quite huge. It's going to unlock a lot of potential going forward, formalize it, and even in a way really deal with also the issue of cattle rustling and what have you. This is in keeping with the government commitment to deploy modern agriculture risk management instruments that ensure farming is profitable within predictable incomes, just as it was in the 1970s when the scheduled crops were catered for under the 10 guaranteed minimum return scheme. So we are going back to that, because that time, if you look up to around 1979, the commodity pricing boom really helped many agriculture-based economies. So that's where we are going, back to, so that we are able to empower our farmers. A very, very important point that we need to make there. And one may actually ask, why do you then say, if you formalize this, you are even going to reduce issues of cattle rustling? Because of the mismatch of the economy, then you find those that do those kind of works are seen like they do not belong to the formal sector of the economy. As I was driving to come to work today, there was a huge cow on the road, and it was, juxtaposition of the modernity versus, what we may consider traditional. But it's part and parcel of our society. It has not gone down. It has not gone away because of modernity. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, we need to formalize this, if at all we have to make any progress, going forward. And so this is very important, because you can now quantify wealth. This idea of having a pastoralist, person owning 500 cattle, but they don't have 2,000 shillings, should actually be a thing of the past. And also the fact that now we've had drought, it actually means that then you can be compensated when the animals die, because there's insurance. So it is extremely important that we have this program. We just passed that policy in cabinet. So it's extremely important. Now the monies are there, but also the policy has now been put in place, and I think that is extremely important. Now let's turn to the issue of education. The government wishes to reiterate its commitment in ensuring the 100% transition of learners from primary to post-primary level. In last year alone, 1,406,557 pupils sought for the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, out of whom 58,429 are yet to join Form 1, meaning we have attained 96% transition rate. So it's good to note that. Only 58,429 are yet to join Form 1. This is big news. So we are at 96% because 100% is a target. But we are also, as government, working together with the county government to ensure through the NGAO, the National Administration Officers, National Government Administration Officers, we call them NGAO, that all of those who have not attained this are able to go to Form 1, but also there is an opportunity for those who have not done so to go to the village polytechnics that are available and are within the custody or the mandate of the county governments. So I think that needs to be said, and we shall be providing you with figures of how many they are going forward. Quite a number. In Muranga, for example, there are over 68 of them. So they all need to be harnessed so that those who fall through the cracks, they are also able to go that way. But their 96% is very commendable, only 4%. And so therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we really commend that going forward. The government has also provided bursaries to facilitate learners from underprivileged backgrounds. The bursaries are through the National Government Constituency Development Fund, NGCDF, that is, of course, patronized by the members of parliament, and the Elimu Scholarship Program, which has given out 14,000 opportunities to ensure that there is full transition from primary to secondary. So that, I think, is very important. There are various types of scholarships. Elimu, there is the CDF, as we know it. There is the Women Reps Kitty, affirmative action. There is a county government kitty, and other forms of support the government is able to give to ensure that our students are in place to continue their education. Of course, this is in tandem with the Education for All, which is one of the Sustainable Development Goals under the United Nations framework, which Kenya actually played a critical role in this negotiation. We were actually a co-president of the Bureau, and I was privileged to be part of that negotiations. Further, there is also an enhanced mop-up exercise where education directors are currently working with field officers to make sure that the remnants, or those who are still not in school, are taken to nearby schools amongst those who were admitted to boarding schools, but parents were not able to pay for their upkeep. Overall, parents who refuse to take their children to schools are liable to prosecution in accordance with the Children's Act. So it is an offense for anyone of us not to take their child to school just because we feel they belong to us. Those who wish not to continue with secondary education can join the public vocational training centers, I've said earlier, which are now under the county governments. And currently, we really want to emphasize that these centers are becoming new centers of excellence going forward. And they are actually even private ones, not just public ones. And so going forward, we really need to emphasize on that so that people can know that there's an alternative to it. So we no longer call them village polytechnics, so that people cannot feel like they are going to substandard institutions. And so therefore it is important that when you go there, you still get equal support. So there is a differentiation. There are those that are at the county level, we can call them county polytechnics, public ones. And then we also have the ones that are managed at a national level through the State Department for TVET, and of course regulated through TVETA. Now let's come to digital transformation agenda. I know people have been hearing about Taptengele. We need to state as follows as government. In keeping with the administration's digital transformation agenda, the Cabinet Secretary for ICT has been going around the country to ensure that there are digital hubs, really. And in that regard, yesterday the Cabinet sanctioned the digitization of the entire education system to avoid corruption, spanning from basic education to tertiary and university level education. Because we are spending, is it 600 billion plus on education alone? It's actually a third of our budget. This intervention aims to address the governance challenges within our education system that have led to parallel accounts, charging of unauthorized school fees, diversion of the exchequer release on capitation and other fraudulent activities that undermine the integrity of the education system, leading to the enrollment of ghost students. So we don't just have ghost workers, we have ghost students. That's why you are finding people going to resist the idea of e-citizen. And that, I must say, without a doubt, because I see the papers saying that the president has defied the orders, we cannot stop the momentum of digitization. So those who have been eating school fees, let me put it in layman language, your time is up. Let's put everything within the ambit, because e-citizen, properly administered, just by contributing a minimum of 350 million shillings a day, we are going to collect another about 1.5 trillion. If we collect another 2.1 trillion through the other taxes, or the taxes, we are almost resolving the issue of the budget, because our budget is around 3 point something to about 4 billion, thereabout. So this is very important, so that we get to know who are these people demanding money from the exchequer, yet in actual sense they are collecting enough to sustain them, and yet this money is going to people's pockets. We have had very good success stories on e-citizen, and we have seen people trying some of the media houses trying to show the negative side of it and cooking up stories. There is no change that has never been resisted. That we are aware. Change is difficult, and government is not going to back down just because some people are trying to manufacture negative publicity. Let us come to the issue of our public debt. We are very happy as government to report that the cabinet meeting yesterday welcomed successful placement of USD 1.5 billion euro bond and termed its oversubscription, because it has been oversubscribed, to mean that investors really have a very high degree of confidence in the administration's economic turnaround strategy. There is nobody who can put their bet where they don't think they can recover. So for the naysayers out there thinking that we're insolvent, we are not credit worthy, I think many people have shown interest in the 1.5 billion US dollar placement. As advised by our transaction advisors, is a clear testament of the fact that we are on the right trajectory under the Kenya Kwanza administration to pay this one bullet payment by June of this year. So the successful completion of the transaction places the country firmly on course to buy back the existing USD 2 billion euro bond, which of course is due in June, as I've said just shortly. Reaping from Eurobonds placement and the targeted interventions by the government, the Kenya shilling has now reversed the downward trend and is appreciating in value against major world currencies, and even including East Africa. In fact, our currency now is stronger than even our counterparts in East Africa. This means that the shilling has now appreciated for 11 straight days to trade below 153.75 shillings at some commercial banks. And that is really good. That is really, really wonderful. On Wednesday, the shilling posted its strongest intraday gain against the US dollar in the last 12 years. This is wonderful. And this will effectively lower debt service costs, attracting more investors. And again, I want to insist, part of what has made this shilling to be strong as well is the G2G arrangement, because by now, the shilling would have sold up to 220 shillings. So this is very, very welcome and very commendable. Again, let me insist again on the cost of living. The cost of living continues to improve as promised by the government. Maize prices have dropped by 12.7% last year, driven by improved local harvest, courtesy of good weather and the fertilizer subsidy program. The fall has been a major relief for consumers as it has lowered the cost of unga consumed in many households from 230 shillings to 130. That's a whole 100 bob. And of course, the electricity tariffs are expected to drop by 3.44 shillings per unit, and fuel has also gone down, even if by a shilling in the latest pump prices. It's important because IPRA has just reviewed their costings. So we are working hard against very tough economic times, but we believe that we are going to do it because this is our great country. It's a country that is full of oomph, pomp. It's a country that has got a great future. I believe that this country can emerge to be the strongest economy in Africa, not just in sub-Saharan Africa, and that indeed we have a great potential towards ensuring that we lift millions of people from poverty. So ladies and gentlemen, wacha niseme kwa machache kidogo kwamba leo tumekuja kuelezea masuala ibuka ambayo yanahusikana kutokana na miradi tofauti ya serikali. Tuseme mwanzo kwamba zile stakabadhi za kusafiri tunapenda kuziita passport. Shida ni kwamba zile za kurasa 34 zipo, za kurasa 50 zipo, na watu wengi sana hawajaweza kupata vitambulisho. Kuna vitambulisho bado hazijaweza kuchukuliwa zaidi ya 1684, ilhali kuna watu 1600 ambao bado wameweza kufanya application. Tunaomba wale ambao hawajachukua vitambulisho waweze kuchukua, lakini kwa sababu ya kesi ambayo iko kotini pia wengine waweze kuchukua. Lakini tunachapisha passport sasa hivi vile ambavyo tuliahidi. Kuna mashine ambazo zinafika mwisho wa mwezi huu, lakini kama wewe unaweza kuchukua kitambo kiko na kurasa nyingi zaidi, tafadhali nenda kule ukachukue ili uweze kufanya kusafiri. Na pia tunasema kwamba wale ambao wanafanya kilimo cha mifugo sasa hivi kuna bima ya mifugo na zaidi ya bilioni 1.2 imeweza kupatiwa zaidi ya wakulima 1400 ambao wameweza kujisajili rasmi kuweza kufaidi kutokana na huu mpango wa serikali. Hivi karibuni serikali imeweza kupasisha hiyo sera katika baraza lake la mawaziri. Kwa hiyo sasa hivi ni rasmi kwamba kilimo cha mifugo kinaweza kutusaidia sana sasa kwa sababu ya ile ngozi na dhamani yake. Ni mwito pia tuseme kwamba kuna vile mambo ya masomo, zaidi ya 96% ya wanafunzi ambao waliweza kuketi katika mtihani wa KCPE mwaka uliopita wameweza kujiunga katika shule za kisekondari. Ni 4% peke yake wanafunzi 58,000 ambao bado hawajapata nafasi katika shule zile kwa sababu tofauti tofauti. Na afisa wetu wa utawala, machifu, DCC tunavyowaita, county commissioner, wanafanya mpango kuhakikisha kwamba wanakwenda katika vijijini kupitia ule mfumo wa nyumba 10 kuhakikisha kwamba watoto wamesajiliwa shuleni, pesa zipo, lakini wale ambao pengine hawawezi wanaweza kuingia katika shule zingine za taaluma tofauti ambazo zina wanafunzi wengi tu ambazo zinasimamiwa na serikali gatuzi. Shule hizi za ukufunzi katika ufundi tofauti, taaluma tofauti zipo. Kwa hivyo tunaomba watu wasiweze kuwaweka watoto wao nyumbani kwa sababu ni hatia na sio kulingana na mujibu wa sheria ya watoto. Kwa sababu wewe mzazi kama umempata mtoto, usidhani kwamba ni haki yako kwamba wewe una ruksa ya kufanya kwamba asikwende shule. Kwa hivyo mambo ndio haya. Tunasema lazima watu wote waingie katika mpango wa e-citizen. Na tunataka aina zote za huduma za kiserikali katika mfumo wote wa elimu ziweze kuingia katika mfumo huu wa kidijitali. Kwa sababu ndio sasa hivi haya ndio maendeleo. Huo ndio mfumo huko. Huu ndio mtindo wa kisasa. Ukiangazia hata wale ambao wanauza ng'ombe sasa hivi wana akaunti za kidijitali, aidha kutumia simu ya rununu katika M-Pesa na nyinginezo. Sasa itakuwaje kwamba mfumo wetu tu wa elimu ambao unahodhi kama karibu thuluthi moja ya bajeti ya nchi hii yetu iwe kwamba sasa watu wanataka kujilimbikizia pesa ziweze kuingia mifukoni? Kwa hivyo tunasema kwamba hilo litakoma. Hata watu wakikwenda kotini, serikali haitasita kuhakikisha kwamba tunasonga mbele kuhakikisha mfumo wote wa e-citizen umeelekezwa mbele. Na tumeona kuna watu ambao vyombo vingine vya habari vimeweka makala maalum kuhakikisha kwamba wanadhalilisha mfumo huu wa serikali. Tunawaambia ni bure bilashi, sisi haturudi nyuma, hatutishwi, hatuwezi kupangwa na nyinyi na propaganda zenu. Tutaendelea na mfumo huu kama serikali ili tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wote wanafaidi kutokana na zile fedha ambazo zinatozwa kutokana na huduma za kiumma. Kwa sababu nini? Tuna bajeti ya karibu trilioni 4. Tunachukua kodi ya karibu trilioni 2.1. Lakini ukiangalia mfumo huu wa e-citizen tayari tuna uwezo wa kuchukua zaidi ya trilioni 1.5 kwa makadirio ya upeo wa chini. Sasa itakuwaje basi wewe useme kwamba tusijimudu? Kwa nini tuende tukope na tuna fedha za kujimudu sisi hapa nchini? Kwa hivyo hilo ni jambo ambalo tunasisitizia na tunaomba Wakenya waweze kuwa na utu, kuona kwamba wasifaidi na mali ya umma ili tusiweze kuwa sisi ni watumwa kwa sababu ya mikopo. Mimi naamini Kenya ni nchi nzuri, ni nchi ambayo ina rutuba, ina watu ambao wanajizatiti kabisa kufanya maendeleo, watu ambao ni watanashati, watu ambao wana nguvu, watu ambao wana ari ya kuishi, na lazima tusisitizie kwamba hiyo ndio nguzo zaidi na muhimu zaidi ya nchi hii yetu ya Kenya. Na tukiwa na umoja na utangamano huo, Kenya itasimama, Kenya itainuka, Kenya itanawiri kwa umoja na uzalendo. Mimi ni mzalendo. Je, wewe? Asante sana. Nafikiri tunaweza kuchukua maswali.
Daktari, mara nyingine tena, jina langu ni Ronnie Regan kutoka idhaa ya Moredio. Swali ambalo niko nalo haujalizungumzia na ningependa sana uguzie kwa sababu huenda likanifaidi mimi na yule mwingine ambaye ananitazama kutoka nyumbani. Kuhusiana na mawaziri ambao kwa njia moja au nyingine tutasema ni wametepetea kazini. Kuna utepetevu mwingi sana katika idara na wizara zao ambazo hawajali wala hawabali. Wacha pia nitumie Kiswahili kama chako. Kutokana na mkasa wa Embakasi bado nasisitiza, kwa sababu sasa ndio gumzo pevu mjini. Kufikia siku ya jana tulipata taarifa kwamba watu ambao wameaga hadi kufikia sasa ni Wakenya 10. Wajana wa karibu sana akiwa ni mtoto wa umri wa miaka 14 ambaye alifariki siku ya jana. Na taarifa zinasema kwamba miili ya wale ambao wameaga sasa hivi bili inaendelea kupanda na kuchupa zaidi, ila serikali haijasema chochote jinsi ambavyo hao watu wanaenda kuzikwa, jinsi miili yao itakavyosafirishwa na kuelekea kwenye makazi yao wanakotoka, jinsi familia zao zitafidiwa, watoto wao jinsi watakavyosoma, wake wao jinsi watakavyoishi, waume wao jinsi watakavyoishi. Ndio baadhi ya maswali ambayo Wakenya wanajiuliza sasa hivi na wanataka majibu ya haraka upesi, kwa sababu ni swala ambalo linawakuna wengi vichwa kwa sasa. Leo sina maswali mengi, naomba ni katizie hapo.
Ronnie Reagan, right? Uweze ukafikiri nitaweza kutaja kuhusu utendakazi wa mawaziri, kwa sababu sisi kama ofisi ya msemaji wa serikali wakati mwingine nasikia mkiniita hatibu, mwanzo hatuna uwezo wa kusema nani anafanya kazi, nani ambaye ametepetea katika utendakazi wake. Kile ambacho tu nitasema kwamba serikali itafuatilizia, nimekuwa na mazungumzo na waziri husika kwamba tutafuatilizia kuona ni vipi ambavyo waathiriwa wa mkasa wa moto wataweza kufaidi. Lakini pia kuna ufadhili ambao umetoka katika wadau tofauti tofauti, hata serikali katuzi la Nairobi na pia mashirika mengine yasiyo ya kiserikali, lakini hilo ni jambo ambalo tutafuatilizia zaidi ili tuweze kuona vile tutafaidika. Hilo ni jambo ambalo nitasema mili hizo takwimu lazima kuwa na takwimu rasmi ndipo tuweze kujua vile mambo yalivyo, lakini tutafuatilizia zaidi kujua kile tutakachofanya. Ni jambo ambalo tunaendelea kulizungumzia na tunashukuru kwa hilo.
Mo Radio 88.2 FM. We are in charge. 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 88.2 FM. We are in charge.